favorite Tio Loco out here in the West Coast. We're finally getting some rain and snow in the mountains here. My story this morning involves Catalyst, and they've sued the state of California over the state demanding that they pay a tax on cannabis accessories. And this one's going to be a battle. And it starts with a proposition that we passed here in California, Prop 64, which actually set the excise tax and what it could be collected from, which is cannabis and cannabis products. And they define that as from the plant or goes through a process to convert the plant into some usable product. And it also defines cannabis accessories as everything else, including stuff you use to smoke or inhale or ingest cannabis. So what we have here is some changing of the tax laws that took place at the end of 22, or actually beginning of 2023. And Prop 64 placed the burden of collecting this tax on a retailer. The state changed that quickly and put it on the distributor. And then they changed it back to the retailer starting January 1 of 23. And what was allowed to happen is a distributor could segregate and separately state the value of a cannabis accessory that had some cannabis product in it. These are typically disposable vape pens or vape carts. Okay, and you buy them. They had some cannabis in them, but they had a battery and they had a heating element and a bunch of other shit. And when you're done, you throw it away. Okay. And what had happened is the distributors would state the value of the cannabis product on an invoice as it moved to the retailer. You would only charge the excise tax on the cannabis product, and that seemed to be cool. Okay, until they changed the rules to the retailer, and our Department of Tax and Fee Administration decided that no, the entire vape pen value was going to now be taxed, the excise tax. And so they went after Catalyst. And just to be clear, this is one of the Catalyst branded retail stores. And I'm going to assume every one of them has a different separate corporation that owns it, but they're Catalyst retailers. And the state decided, well, we're going to audit you. And they determined that Catalyst had grossly underpaid their excise tax because they had issued these separate statements on their invoices that, let's say the vape pen's $40 and the value of the product in it is only $5. They'd only charge you the 15% of that, which was, cents on the dollar. But the state wanted the entire 15% of the $40 value, and that's where Catalyst said, nah, if you do that, we're going to appeal it. The state actually did it. They issued a notice of determination of taxes due, and Catalyst appealed it. And Catalyst in their appeal said, we're standing on the rules that say you can only tax cannabis and cannabis products, and what we had previously done, which the CDFA signed off on. Okay. Well, what Catalyst is saying is that immediately after they filed their appeal, the CDTFA proposed emergency regulations to change the rules about how you tax cannabis accessories. And Catalyst is claiming that you rammed it through. Their emergency authority ran out in the end of 2023, so they had to get it on the books before the end of the year. They rammed it through. They manufactured an emergency, and they did secret changes to an existing regulation, and they created a new regulation, which came up with the term optional tangible personal property. One of these things that got pulled right out of somebody's ass, and attorneys just make a lot of money because no one knows what it means, and we fight about it for years. But realistically, it means if you buy a separate vaping device, and you can put a cartridge in it, and the separate device is optional. You don't have to buy it with the vape cart. But if you have to buy the entire device together with the cannabis product in it, then it's going to be taxed as a cannabis product. That's where the pissing match starts. Okay, so Catalyst has sued the Department of Tax and Fee Administration and the Office of Administrative Law. It's supposed to look at these regulations and approve them. And they're claiming they both colluded to ram this through to take away their ability to appeal the determination they owe taxes. Now, this is going to be a war, folks, because if you haven't heard about California, it'll take every opportunity to tax the shit out of you. It's just the nature of the beast here. And under our initiative rules, the voters pass an initiative. It can't be changed unless you follow specific rules inside the initiative that allow it to be changed. Well, our initiative said you can only tax cannabis and cannabis products. Okay? And if you're going to increase the tax, you have to go back to the legislature and get a supermajority vote to allow an increase. There's the start of the war. If you're going to now allow them to tax cannabis accessories, that seems to me like it's an increase in tax. And they didn't go to the legislature and get their necessary supermajority vote. That's just one of the problems. Okay. Another one is that the legislature had granted the CDFA the authority to engage in emergency regulations, and if they enact an emergency regulation, that regulation can be valid for up to 2 years. Okay. So there's going to be a war here over how long this is going to last. In a realistic sense, once you enact a law, especially in California, getting it undone is almost impossible. So if they start collecting against these cannabis accessories, and it's going to be valid for 2 years, by the time we get to the end of 2 years, the legislature will find some way to rubber stamp this and keep it going. So what I see coming is potentially a class action here for anybody who followed these previous rules and separately stated the value of the cannabis product from the accessory, and they're going to now don't want to pay extra taxes. And what I'm not clear about how this is going to be done is if you didn't separately state these values, are you in a line to get a refund if it turns out that you can't tax people for a cannabis accessory? I don't have an answer for this yet. I want to emphasize this is just the complaint. It's a verified complaint, so everything in this is attested to be true, so the state can't just say, oh, we disagree. No, you got to answer every allegation in this line by line and either admit it, deny it, or deny it based upon lack of information and belief. So this is going to be a mess going forward. My firm is handling some of this stuff, so we're happy to answer questions, but this is going to be a Pier 6 brawl here because I think people have overpaid taxes to a significant extent in this state, and maybe it's time that we ask to have some of that back and definitely stop the state from collecting more taxes from people who thought they were following the rules. And it looks like they're trying to make this retroactive back to January 1st of 23, and in legal terms, that's an ex post facto law. You can't move the goal line back to a point where people were doing things that they thought were legal and go, oh, no, we're going to make it illegal ex post facto back to when we want it to start.
That's not true.
Unconstitutional.
They can do that, and they've done it in the past.
Well, yeah, but you can go to court and stop them. And that's what I'm saying. Ex post facto laws are unconstitutional, like bills of attainder, where you draft a law and Congress or legislature says, I'm going to go charge some particular person. You can't do that either. I mean, they can try it, but you can stop them. So this is the opening battle in a war. So let's throw it back to you. What do you guys all think about this? This is going to go on for a while.
Well, first of all, I want to give Elliot and the whole Catalyst team a big round of applause for filing this lawsuit. It takes a lot to stand up against
doing
the
it for
state
the people
in regards with this. And I do agree with you, Dale. I think ultimately it'll turn into a class action lawsuit, and I think every single cannabis retailer, cultivator, and distributor and manufacturer will be entitled to a major tax credit going into their coffers to where they may not pay taxes for 2 or 3, 4 years.
Yeah, I disagree. I disagree with that, Jay, and I'll tell you why. The state usually doesn't like to give money back after they already have it, number one. Number two, I disagree kind of with how this turns out, and maybe Dale will correct me on this because my legal mind is going in a different direction. I don't like lawsuits, right? Especially in the industry, we get a bunch of these lawsuits. This one, however, I'm going to have to say, Catalyst, in this fight with the tax man, is right. The way the law is written, you can tax cannabis products. Listen, it ain't our fault that you didn't write the law how you wanted to.
Exactly.
If you wanted to tax everything and wanted to put your hand in everybody's pocket, that's not our fault. We pay you and put you and elect you to sit on that hill to be able to do it correctly. That's another point. Okay. But obviously what happened here, and Dale, you alluded to this, is they saw that Catalyst was going to possibly prevail on this, and they moved the goalpost back. This is super typical of local government. They used to do this to us when we were opening dispensaries back in the early 2000s. You would go and you would try to meet all these requirements. They'd continue to move the goalpost back on you, moratoriums and bans. But this is where I think that, in my sense, this is where I would go with it. I would go straight to the federal court. The Ninth Circuit is going to be favorable in this one, and I would move for an injunction. I'd file a TRO first, and then I'd go for a full injunction afterwards. And I think that would be the move to stop this temporarily anyway, so that we can figure it out before they try to continue to make this a mess, because it is going to be a mess. And when people continue to get taxed when they shouldn't be, and then the state has the money, like, good luck getting that back. So
I don't think anyone's going to get any money back, Luke. I'm saying that I think that they'll get a tax credit so they don't have to pay in going forward.
I mean, I hope you're right, Jay. I really do. But listen, I'm super pessimistic when the state has their bread in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they've already got the money in hand, it's easier to fight for. You know. First, I just want to say that thank you, Catalyst, for always giving us great news, no matter what. Yes. We always get great stories coming out of you guys, and I love these stories that are on behalf of the entire industry. I mean, there is no soldier left behind in this lawsuit for our industry. So thank you for that. And thank you for being so brave. It takes a lot. It takes a lot financially. It takes a lot emotionally. It takes a lot from your businesses. It's on this, even though it is going to benefit your business, it's a huge step. And so thank you. I love this lawsuit. And I think someone, I don't know who said it in the chat, might be Nick maybe, someone said that this is a lawsuit that is going to bring the industry together.
I agree with that. It definitely does bring the industry together, because I think every single person in the industry thinks this is a good thing. I haven't talked to one person that says that, oh no, this is bad, or has something negative to say in regards to. I think everybody comes out a winner. The only loser in this part is going to be the state. Ultimately, I don't see how the state ultimately.
Well, are they really
this.
A loser though?
Yeah, I think they are. I don't think there's any way for them to actually win.
No, I mean, overall, yeah, you're right. I don't think they win either, or unless the judge finds that they went back and did it right. But that's beside the point.
We know that's all BS, though.
Right, we do know that, but that happens. That's my point. Is like, we know it's BS, but a lot of times they side with BS. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I agree, dog. But I don't think it's a loss for the state. I think the state shouldn't be getting it in the first place. So it doesn't. You can't lose something that wasn't yours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my question is, the consumer pays the tax.
Step in there real quick and say,
the consumer have standing to go in?
Big ups to Anna, sticking their necks out there, and is a great use of Elliot's platform. I know there's plenty of people who love and hate Elliot, but him using his platform to get word out about this is a big unifier. I just wanted to step in and say that real quick.
Yes.
What
were you saying, Dan?
One of the questions we talked about earlier, Jason, was whether the taxpayer, the person who actually pays that tax,
I was going to go into that.
Store, has standing to bring this suit. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't research it. This is a 40-page suit that I went through last night, and it's like, shit, I saw all sorts of issues go in different directions. I think a taxpayer has standing because the law says you can only tax cannabis products and cannabis, and this is clearly a tax on a cannabis accessory. They don't have any of the baggage going on inside the industry. You told me to pay a tax. It's supposed to be on a cannabis product. You tax me for an accessory. I want that to be declared an illegal tax, and I want it refunded. That would blow the lid off of this tax people.
I think it sounds like Armada Law Practice is going to start a pro bono lawsuit on behalf of the patients in a class action lawsuit, and we'll help you find all the necessary patients, Dale, for your firm.
Yeah.
So hold on, though. Real quick question, Dale.
Part that, see, that's the problem. These cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You guys got that, bro. You guys grow weed. You guys grow weed. You guys got that.
Dale, I got a quick question, though. So say I have a factory and I built a car and I put a gram of rosin in my car. They could tax me for the entire car?
Well, they could try. And that's what we're seeing right here.
Yeah, that's basically
And that
that's
is
a
a good
great
analogy.
example. That's exactly what's happening with this.
Well, the analogy that Catalyst gave was a disposable vape pen's $40.
Yep.
The concentrate inside of it's $5. So they paid a tax on $5, not the $40.
I agree with that.
Okay, I don't know if that's an accurate figure, but let's say you buy a car and they draw. You hear we're gonna gift you a free gram of concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, we're gonna charge the entire $40,000 car as a cannabis product. Yeah, bullshit. 5-year-olds don't buy that story.
Yep. Exactly.
Just to jump in real quick too, Dale, if they are getting $5 rosin, can you have them tap in with profit? Because that sounds like a good deal.
It sounds to me like it probably doesn't taste good.
Sounds like bad rosin.
Yeah, sounds like trash. Dale, quick question for you, because we did touch on this prior to, and you said that the state it's illegal what they were doing in the energy things, and then I stepped in and I said no, I've witnessed them do that in the past when they make the retroactive taxes go predate when they're saying what is that called?
Called an ex post facto law.
Ex post facto law. 2007. The state of California all of a sudden decided to say that California was taxable, and not only were dispensaries responsible for paying sales tax as of 2007, but for any dispensary that was open before that, you were retroactively charged for being you retroactively owed sales tax, even that you'd never collected sales tax because it was never a requirement prior. And they came after me for $1.8 million.
That's not actually true, though.
That's 100% true.
At the beginning of the dispensary system, it wasn't stated that there was two schools of thought. There was one school of thought that said because it's a medicine, it shouldn't be taxed. And then there was another school of thought that said, hey, look, guys, pay your taxes because that is going to be the thing that unites these local governments to be able to want you to have dispensaries in their jurisdictions.
Hold on, we're gonna go deep into this because there was one store operator that in the beginning started to pay sales tax and wanted to break that wave, and that was Kathleen Lemons with the Hemp Center on Gary Boulevard in San Francisco. And let me tell you,
where Werner worked at.
This is way before Gilbert, okay? Way before Gilbert. But, okay, Kathleen Lemons was a CPA prior, her husband was a CPA prior and whatnot, so they thought that was going to be a legal way. But let me tell you something. The state came after them harder than anybody, and they had more problems in the beginning than anyone else. They had the very first till taps in a cannabis dispensary and everything, all because they were trying to pay taxes, and the state of California said that they didn't want the money, they didn't want nothing to do with it.
Okay.
So therefore, then in 2007, they switched their whole position up and said every dispensary is responsible for paying sales tax now. Cannabis is now a taxable item, and on top of it, it's retroactive if you've been open prior to this date.
Now, that's a great story, but let me tell you about California Healthcare Collective in 2004.
Go for it.
We paid our sales tax from the jump, dong. We paid it from the jump. We never had any problem with the state on the sales tax tip. The Board of Equalization loved us because by the end of it, we were actually made to prepay our taxes. I don't know how that works, but for some reason, once we made a certain amount of dollar over that dollar amount, they made us pay the tax at the beginning of the month.
Yeah, they'll do that. They will do that. I have seen them do that to people where you have to pay estimated based upon what you anticipate your revenue. I have watched them do that, and I have seen them do that, and they have tried to do that to me. I told them to go fuck themselves.
Well, we paid it. We continue to pay it. Pay your taxes. I'm not going to say don't pay your taxes. So pay your taxes.
Well, and I'm going to say,
bad things happen. Now, what we do as a people, though, is we come together and unite and we change those tax laws because we get to decide what those are. Those tax laws are coming out of our pocket. You get to decide where those go.
And I'm going to say on that, Luke, before we go to the commercial, I'm going to say that Benjamin Franklin said that it's every American's duty to pay as least tax as possible. And on that, we'll be right back.